So welcome, and we're so glad you could be here tonight to learn more about the Mahtomedi Elementary Parent-Teacher Organization and how we support both Wildwood and O.H. Anderson Elementary Schools. My name is Katie Torrey. I currently serve as president on the MPTO board. Also here tonight is Amy Mycetic, who is our president-elect. She'll be taking over in July. And Megan Corin, our corresponding secretary. This is her third year as corresponding secretary. And then we have two other board members who aren't able to be here. Amber Schlegel, who's been our long-term treasurer. Her tenure, she's aging out, so this will actually be her last year. And then Katie Thomas, recording secretary. And this is Katie's second or third year as recording secretary. If you have questions as we go along, please raise your hand by clicking the button in your Zoom control panel at the bottom of the Zoom window, and we are happy to answer any questions that you have. So the Mahtomedi Elementary Parent-Teacher Organization is a 501c3 nonprofit, 100% volunteer organization that works with Wildwood and O.H. Anderson Elementary Schools. We are a PTO, not a PTA. So PTOs are independent bodies. PTAs are part of a national organization. So as a PTO, we are governed by our own bylaws and focus all of our concentration on our city and our school district. We also work only with the elementary schools, which allows us to focus on our kids where they are now and when we have the most opportunity to be involved with them in the schools. The PTO has been operating as a nonprofit since 1993. All of our financial information is public. We file annual reports. Our standard operating budget is around $45,000 in support to our elementary schools. And then any monies that we raise in excess of our budget are distributed out in the form of funded requests or grants, which can be submitted by elementary school teachers and staff and are voted upon at our monthly meetings. And we'll talk more about where that money goes in just a little bit. As I mentioned before, we are a 100% volunteer organization. The PTO was hit really hard by COVID and almost disbanded. Many families have aged out over the past few years, and many new families have joined the Mahtomedi community who may not know exactly what the PTO does or why our fundraising is so important. So many of our PTO volunteers who currently serve as committee chairs and board members are about to age out of the PTO. Once you no longer have a child in the elementary school, you're no longer a part of the PTO. So we are in real danger of having to drop programs or decrease our supports simply because we can't get parent volunteers. And if every family allocated just 1 hour a year to volunteering for PTO activities and events, we'd never have an issue with this. All of the information we're going to be presenting here tonight and a lot more is available on our website at mahtomedipto.com. So the mission of the Mahtomedi Elementary PTO is to promote a sense of community among family and staff of the elementary students, to provide a forum to communicate district policies and decisions, and to provide enrichment programs not otherwise available to students, and then to conduct fundraising events for specific operational or capital needs that we identify in partnership with school administrators. And then we support this mission through events and activities throughout the year. So we get started right at back to school. And that's starting, we speak at the New Family Welcome every year. We provide a book for each student during assessment days. We staff a booth at both open houses. At Wildwood, we provide food trucks and spiritware, and a portion of those proceeds do come back to the PTO. And then we also do yearbook sales at back to school. And then our hospitality team provides hospitality for teachers and staff at back to school. We are currently seeking a chair to assist with back to school activities. It is such a crazy busy time for everyone. And we're just looking for a little bit of additional support just in coordinating it. Doesn't mean you have to do all the work yourself. Typically, a chair in the PTO is responsible for coordinating it. It does not mean that they are 100% responsible for every little single thing that has to happen. So most of you probably are familiar with the Fun Run. The Fun Run is our biggest fundraiser of the year. It was held last year. It was October 6th at Wildwood and October 13th at O.H. We usually raise about $35,000 to $65,000 at the Fun Run. And the Fun Run is just an opportunity for every class to get outside, get active together, and help raise this money. So prior to the day of the Fun Run, the students participate in fundraising for their schools by asking trusted adults to sponsor their participation. The goal is if each student is available to receive or to raise a total of $20, we can easily meet our goal. Now, of course, any amount helps. So we hold a fun run in lieu of programs that require parents and students to sell something. That is feedback we got a long time ago. Nobody wants to sell anything. So that's why we do the fun run. Now, I understand that at the beginning of the school year, there are a lot of asks. This is really what funds our budget, the bulk of our budget for the year. Our budget goal for this year was 32,000. We actually only raised 26,500. So that is one of the lowest showings in fun run participation in many, many years. So we also raise funds at the fun run through corporate sponsorships, and then we promote our sponsors through signage and social media. Now, this is the one event where we don't really have an issue with day of volunteers. We have to open registration as it fills in minutes. Where we do struggle is getting families involved to be as part of the fun run committee. Ideally, this event would have co-chairs, as it is a huge amount of work, and especially coordinating between both schools. So we really are trying to build up that fun run committee so that Mary Caruso Daly has a little bit more help next year. The dates for the 2024 fun run will be finalized in May and will be posted on our website when the strategic calendar is finalized. Book fairs. So the book fairs are held during conferences. We do OHA in the fall and Wildwood in the winter. A lot of schools run their own book fairs. This is actually the way that the PTO gives back to the school, as they are a lot of work to put on. We always need volunteers for the book fair. It is almost impossible to fill all those shifts. And then the coin drive that we run during the book fairs, that raises money to help fund specifically teacher libraries. And then we also earn scholastic dollars, which are used for media center books. We do family fun nights. This year we did 3 in November, January, and March. And those are free events. It is so much fun to see the elementary school kids get together in kind of a social event. There's not a lot of opportunity for that, which is one of the reasons why we host these family fun nights. We've typically done movie nights, but we are open to any ideas that people might have for events in the future. They are free events. We accept donations to help cover the cost of movie licensing, which is about $600 a year. But that movie license is then valid too for OH for their staff to use throughout the year. So they get a little added bonus there. We do the movie nights and then the teachers get to use it throughout the rest of the year. The Spring Fling was formerly known as the Fun Fair. We've been doing a new format for it since 2021, mostly because the insurance cost of trying to maintain the old format was kind of getting out of control. So the Spring Fling is a celebration of the end of the school year that we host at Wildwood. This year's is Friday, May 17th. It's from 4:30 to 7:30, and it is fun for the whole family. There are a variety of free and ticketed games and activities, cotton candy, food trucks, raffle baskets, and there were some really stellar raffle baskets last year. The different community associations host booths with games, and then we sell spiritware there as well. So admission is free to this event. Activity tickets are $1 each. Raffle tickets are $2 each. With the numbers for the fun run being so low, this is our spring fundraiser. So it is extra important this year because we need to kind of fill in some of those gaps that we didn't get with the fun run. We are very much looking for volunteers for the Spring Fling. There are a variety of different opportunities that are available for volunteering at the Spring Fling. I just stuck the link to that in the chat to the Sign Up Genius if you want to see the types of volunteer activities that are available. So the yearbook. The PTO puts on the yearbook, both as a fundraiser. That's the way that we do raise funds for our schools, but we also put together the yearbook. We take the photographs, we do the layout, all that gets put together by by PTO volunteers. So yearbook sales are ending on the April 15th this year. So if you haven't bought your yearbook yet, now is the time to get that. We offer a variety of enrichment programs for students that wouldn't otherwise be available. The first of which is Art Adventure. We just finished up Art Adventure at both Wildwood and OHA. I'm sure Amy was the chair for that this year. I'm sure she has lots of fun information about that. Basically, it's a program for schools that's offered through the Minneapolis Institute of Art. It's held in the classroom at Wildwood in January, and then at OH, it's an after-school enrichment club. Volunteers are always needed for this. So if there's anything you ever hear that you're interested in volunteering for and there isn't a sign-up sheet, go ahead and send us an email. We're happy to put you on the list and let you know when those volunteer signups open. We do Missoula Children's Theater, which is a musical production where the entire show is auditioned, cast, rehearsed, and performed the first week of January. The PTO's Missoula productions are one of the reasons our middle and high schools have such strong theater departments. We desperately need a chair to take over the Missoula program. Our longtime chair, Chantal Noss, is aging out of the PTO. She has been doing this for I can't even tell you, I think it's been over 10 years. So if you love theater or if you know somebody who is interested, we desperately need a chair for that in order to keep that program going. And then the final bit of enrichment that we do is we do card sharks at Wildwood and strategy games at OH. And these are enrichment clubs that are sponsored and led by PTO volunteers. Due to our lack of parent volunteers, we've been supplementing card sharks with fifth graders from OH. They just ride the bus over there. They're not really a substitute for parent volunteers, but it's helped a lot. And the kids have really enjoyed going over there and working with the younger kids. You don't have to have a child participating in card sharks or strategy games in order to volunteer. And that's across the board with the PTO. You know, I mean, a lot of us, we volunteer for activities just because we know that they need volunteers. That doesn't mean that our children are actually participating in it. In addition to the fun run, the spring fling, and yearbook sales, which are kind of three of our big fundraisers, we do conduct a few other fundraisers throughout the year. We do Original Works, which is an opportunity to purchase your children's artwork, which can be reproduced onto calendars, mugs, bags, note cards, that sort of thing. And the PTO does get a percentage of those proceeds, so it is a good fundraiser for us. Orders are going to be opening up in late March, early April, so that will be coming really soon. We partner with the Right Stuff and do school supply kits for Wildwood and O.H. Anderson. Those kits are all teacher approved and match the official school supply lists. They come in a really nice box with all the labels and everything in it. There's definitely a convenience factor to it, but there is a price increase because part of that comes back to the PTO as a donation. And then we sell spiritware. Items from Heritage Embroidery are sold at the Wildwood Open House, during conferences, and at the Spring Fling. And then you can also shop online throughout the year through Apparel Now. And in both of those cases, the PTO does receive a percentage of the proceeds. We also collect things like box tops for education, Culver's Scoopy tokens, My Coke rewards, the Tyson Project A+. Those items can be dropped off at either one of the elementary schools. There's collection boxes for both of them. We do a lot of hospitality for teachers and staff throughout the year. So from the bus drivers to the principals, the hospitality committee hosts events such as a teacher conference buffet in October and February, an appreciation breakfast in May, and then they do small tokens of appreciation for staff at back to school and during the holidays. New this year, they also added in Thankful Thursdays, which allowed people to sign up either individually or with a group of friends to do just a special treat for teachers on the second Thursday of each month. And some of those months it was snacks or beverages, but we also got a list of like what teachers needed for school supplies and that sort of thing to kind of plug in those gaps mid-year. So we really do offer a lot of support for the teachers. Okay, so let's talk about where this money all comes from. So this is looking at the 2023-2024 budget. So our income this year we estimated about $32,000 from the fun run, $10,000 from the spring fling, $5,500 from all the other various purchase programs, about $3,000 from the yearbook, and about $1,700 from the book fair. So that's what makes up the bulk of our budget. Then we take that money, and this is where it actually goes. $12,000 just in teacher support. That is direct funds that the teachers have to use on their classrooms. It's $175 a classroom. So rather than teachers having to buy stuff out of pocket, we are able to supplement those sorts of things for them. We subsidize field trips at both schools to the tune of $12,000. So when you get that, we need $20 for field trip or something at the beginning of the year, that number has already actually been cut by the subsidy that the PTO is already putting forward there. We do another $8,000 a year for specialist support, another $4.5 for assemblies and events throughout the year. About $3,000 in hospitality, which is mostly food and that sort of thing for teachers. Another $3,000 in music programming. Little over $2,000 for Nature Trail Day, which happens over at O.H. At the end of the year, we provide funds to do the field day and then also provide treats for all the students. We have about $1,500 a year in operating expenses, like the website and insurance and that sort of thing. And then we spend about $1,000 a year on enrichment activities. So the vast bulk of all the money that we're raising is going directly back into the schools. Now, anything that we have outside of our budget, and we had a really fun couple of years because we got to do a big spend down because of COVID. So we got to play, Angel Fairy and approve a lot of requests over the past couple of years. But this is just looking at 2021 to 2023. We partnered with MAIF and put $25,000 into the LU systems at Wildwood and O.H. We've bought $25,000 worth of books. We put in a $15,000 adaptive climbing wall at Wildwood. $3,000 in wobble stools, just a lot of miscellaneous stuff and equipment. So, $71,000 because we had very generous parents and we had this additional money that we could spend down. So all the teachers have to do is just put in a request. And that's one of the things that we discuss at PTO meetings is we look at those requests, what people are asking for, and whether we feel that that's a good fit for our mission. Typically, when funding these requests, we're trying to do things that are going to impact the vast majority of students. So a lot of times we won't, if it's only going to affect 4, 5, 6 students at the elementary school, that's probably not something that the PTO is going to do because we want to maximize our impact with the most amount of students. Okay, so let's look at levels of involvement here. So all of the opportunities that are offered through the PTO are scalable depending on your availability. The upper level is a board member. Members of the executive board are elected in May for 1-year terms with the exception of treasurer, which is a 2-year term. Those terms run from July to June each year. We desperately are in need of a treasurer. Amber Schlegel has done it for many, many years, but she has a 5th grader this year, which means next year she will no longer be eligible to serve on the PTO board. So if we can't find somebody to fill that position, and we've tossed around some opportunities like, I could theoretically take it on for another year, but I'm going to age out as well. So we're going to be right in that same situation that we were in. So we are desperately seeking a treasurer. If you yourself have any kind of accounting experience or know somebody who does that might be interested in something like that, that is where our board needs the most help right now. We're also going to be searching for a president-elect. We hold our elections at our May PTO meeting. Anybody who qualifies as, a parent or guardian or staff is eligible to be nominated. And then we vote. Committee chairs, they oversee their individual events in coordination with the board. For any of these different areas that require a committee chair, we strongly encourage co-chairs. If you have a friend that wants to take it on with you, it's so much nicer if we can share that work. A chair does not have to be a single person. It could be a group of people. Right now, the committee chairs that we know are needed for next year are back to school, Missoula Theater, and hospitality. Hospitality has a really great group of volunteers. Our current chair, Amanda Moore, she's been doing it for years. She wants to remain on the committee. She needs to take a step back for chairing this year. She's doing a lot of substitute teaching and she just needs to take a little step back. So we are looking for somebody to chair that position, but there is a really strong team that is already committed to hospitality. We offer a variety of general volunteer activities throughout the year. So, as a 100% volunteer organization, we rely on parent volunteers. All volunteer opportunities are listed on the What's Happening page of the PTO website, which is updated regularly. It's just Mahtomedi PTO/upcoming. And no matter where your interests or talents lie, we can find a place for you to thrive as a volunteer. We offer so many different activities that there's, There's any number of places where you could choose to get involved. As I mentioned before, we are recruiting people to volunteer for the Spring Fling. In addition to it being, it's our largest event of the year, but it is the single biggest need for volunteers throughout the year as well, because there's a lot of different moving pieces that happen during the Spring Fling. We need people to sell tickets, people to run games. And typically those are hour-long shifts. So, work for an hour, play for a couple. So those signups are currently available on Sign Up Genius. And then just being involved in our fundraising. Anytime you donate to the fun run or come to the Spring Fling or shop at the book fair or purchase Spiritware or Original Works or a school supply kit, you are directly supporting Wildwood and O.H. Anderson students, teachers, and schools. So our monthly meetings, what happens in a monthly PTO meeting? So we're currently doing evening meetings, but we would really like some feedback from families about what they would like as we're putting together the strategic calendar for next year. They don't have to be evening meetings. They could be daytime meetings if that's what works best for people. Currently at our monthly meetings, at every meeting, the principals and Jenny Peterson, who I see is on the call now, our school board representative, they're there at our monthly meetings. And they talk to us about what's happening in the schools, and then we have the opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback. So it is a really great way to get those conversations with the school administrators in kind of a more casual environment. We look at our current financials and we discuss and vote on those funded requests if money is available. And we talk about the upcoming activities and kind of problem solve and troubleshoot and see where things are going on all those. So our next meeting is Wednesday, April 10th at 7 p.m. Those meetings are held in the Flex Lab in OHA. The May meeting is going to be the really big one this year. That's when voting is taking place for 2024-2025. And that is our strategic plan, our calendar of what we're planning to do throughout the entire year, our budget for next year, and then also board elections. We're going to be discussing the kind of proposed strategic plan at the April meeting, and then we'll be voting on that in May. The May meeting is May 8th. So the easiest way to get involved in the PTO is if you go to our website, specifically to mahtomedipto.com/upcoming. That's where you'll see all volunteer opportunities for the entire year listed. This past year, all of those signups were live at back to school. I know for a lot of working parents, myself included, it can be really hard to schedule something with 2 weeks notice. So if you need several months notice in order to be able to get something on your calendar to volunteer, we're giving you that opportunity. If there's anything that you would like more information about, please always feel free to email info@mahtomedipto.com. Right now that email address is coming to me. Come July, it'll go to Amy. But so you're actually getting somebody who can answer your questions if you email that email address. And then we strongly encourage you to subscribe to our calendar. If you go to mahtomedipto.calendar or /calendar, that has all of our upcoming events in a Google Calendar that you can subscribe to the same way that you can subscribe to the district calendar, and then it's all right there. We also encourage you to connect with us. We are on Facebook at Mahtomedi Elementary PTO. We are on Insta at Mahtomedi PTO. And then there's a QR code on the screen right now that you could scan if you want to join our mailing list. However, since you guys have all registered for this session, I've got your emails now. So you're now part of the PTO mailing list. So a lot of things get lost in the e-news. We don't try to spam you with our mailing list. We only send a couple of emails a month, but it's just what's upcoming, what kind of volunteer opportunities there are coming up. And, that's where you can get meeting minutes, copies of the agenda, that sort of thing. We typically do one email prior to the monthly PTO meeting, and then another email after. So the one beforehand will include the agenda, the one after will include the minutes. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? And they don't all have to be aimed at me. Anybody here on the call is welcome to throw that out.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you just spell out the difference or the partnership, if there is any, like between MAIF and the PTO? Do you have distinct missions? Like, I'm just.
So MAIF is looking at the entire district. So really from pre-K all the way up to through high school. Because the elementary school has an active PTO, MAIF tends to be much less involved at the elementary school level. So we've had several meetings with MAIF this year. We're looking for ways that we can promote and support each other and also not step on each other's toes. So as we're doing the strategic calendar for next year, we are looking at that because obviously, you know, we don't want to be doing an ask at the same time that MAIF is doing an ask. I will be very honest that this year was particularly difficult with a change in how, I mean, it was great as a parent, the way that the school schedule was done for this year, but what it did for us as a PTO is it condensed what would have normally been split up over like a 2.5 month period into like a 3 week period where we felt like we were asking for something every few days. And so we are looking to address that. Amy, did you have something to add there? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add in that MAIF does a lot of bigger projects within the district. You'll see them doing stuff with the Fab Lab over at the high school and larger grants, and we are very separate entities. So I think is that what you were going for with your question to ask?
Yeah, I was looking on the MAIF website separately, and it's just realizing that they're seeking to, you know, provide enrichments and opportunities to fund. Granted, I'd appreciated that it's kind of filling, you know, pre-K through, you know, graduation, but just, is there a clash in missions where you've got two organizations that are kind of trying to do the same thing, and what distinguishes, I guess, part of my question's already been answered in the fact that the PTO, this PTO is very much focused on the elementary school and being devoted to that. But it just seemed like there was a lot of overlap, and that seems.
And outside of some really big ticket items, MAIF does not provide a lot of day-to-day support for like the elementary school staff and teachers the way that we do. So we are, in some ways, we're putting those basic just operating expenses in their hands, like to keep teachers from paying out of pocket and that sort of thing. An angel fund where, you know, you can ask for anything from MAIF's angel fund and you could theoretically get that funded. We are very specific in our mission of we are looking just at the elementary schools and just supporting those teachers and staff, because this is the time that most of us have the ability to get involved with our kids. Once they're in high school, I mean, we can't volunteer in the schools anymore. You know, I mean, you can, but there's less opportunities to do so. So it's really.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think Jenny had something that she wanted to add too.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Okay. So last year, MAIF gave $65,000 to Wildwood and O.H for a new reading curriculum that just works on phonics, the basic science of reading. So last year, MAIF's giant spend was on just the elementary schools. This year, they're back at the middle school and the high school doing digital arts, but last year, their focus was solely on elementary school literacy proficiency.
And they tend to do more of those super big ticket items like that. You know, most of the funded requests that we get from teachers, they could be anywhere from $60 on up. The loos were probably the biggest, the loos and then that adaptive climbing wall were kind of the biggest. And that was mostly because we had to do a big spend down because we hadn't given away a lot of money during the COVID years. But most of our kind of the grants that we do for teachers, they're a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. So it's smaller dollar amounts, but it's impacting specifically in that classroom in a different way. While MAIF is really looking more at a big picture capital. Like, I mean, they overhauled the reading curriculum. That's what they did with that money. So, that is something that we have had discussions with me, because we really don't want to step on each other's toes and we don't want to be doing the same thing. So while they're doing more of those big tickets, they're not doing a lot of the little stuff that we do for the teachers throughout the year.
I think MAIF and the PTO work really well together. This is only, my third meeting with PTO. However, having 3 elementary kids and doing PTO stuff, and now my involvement with MAIF, I think they are just parallel programs that do what they need to do. And Ketty, I like how you explained it. The PTO is the daily life stuff, and MAIF is the big picture of a district.
Exactly.
Yep. And I was going to say, with PTO too, if you do things with PTO, you're going to be more directly involved with the students too. So like if you volunteer, you're going to actually like volunteer with the students. Whereas MAIF, it's more of like background stuff, So yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Anything you guys have just been dying to know about where this stuff goes? So everything we talked about today and more is available on our website. Everything is up to date on there. So if you want to dive into the depths of the PTO website and learn minutia about all of these different programs, that information is out there. We do try to keep that up to date. I know, like for me, I'm not on social, so it's nice to have a place that you can go if you aren't on social media. Did anybody else want to add anything? I mean, I know we all have small children, so I don't want to unnecessarily take up people's time. I know we're starting to push into the nighttime routine period of time. We very much appreciate you being here tonight. We are concerned that if we cannot get more parents involved, that things are going to have to change. And I walked into my first PTO meeting because I was frustrated after volunteering at an event, and I walked into that meeting and there were 2 members of the board, the 2 principals and a school board rep. And I realized that the reason that I had a bad volunteering experience was because they desperately needed people. And I left that meeting as president-elect, much to my husband's dismay. And he's still a little salty about it. But like, this only works if we have parents involved, and we need more parents. And I understand that parents, it's not that parents aren't volunteering, it's that they're volunteering for sports and they're volunteering for different community activities. And that's why our ask is, per family, if we could just get an hour a year, that would solve all of our problems. Jennifer, did you have a question?
Oh my gosh. And of course I have a screaming kid in here now. Yes, I hear the urgency and the need for volunteering, and I would love at some future point to be on a committee or a chair or something, but is it on the website? Are there opportunities for like more micro opportunities to volunteer? And I get the like spring fling and everything, but I would be happy to help via email or something on these committees. I just can't volunteer like big blocks of time, but I can fit it in throughout my day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if you get involved with these committees, I mean, for everything, signage needs to be made, communication needs to happen, sign up geniuses need to be built. So it's not all like, you can volunteer and not be physically at an event. So if you sign up for our mailing list, it will ask you, what kind of level of involvement are you looking at? Maybe it's behind the scenes help. Maybe it's I can help do the signage or prepare, some activities in advance for the fun run. You could be part of the fun run committee and not share it.
Yeah, that's what, oops, sorry. I was just going to say, if you're like interested in doing something, email the chair and let the chair know that you're interested. And I can almost guarantee you're going to get an email back.
Yep.
And they're going to
And
say,
this is kind of where it gets fun to co-chair as well. And like, if you and a friend do it, you could kind of tag team off and like split the roles. And then you can do what is like, reasonable for you, and they can do the other part of it. Something else I think we should definitely say is that grandparents can too volunteer. So make sure that they know that. I mean, we've got these retired grandmas and grandpas at home, and now some of them are in Arizona. I get it, whatever, but they can definitely go and help out with some of the hours that we need filled. Now they can't, I don't know that they could do a board or a chair. Is that right, Kenny?
But they could be general volunteers at
Exactly. They could just do like the hours here and there that we kind of need filled in. And we've had a couple do it and they love it. I mean, they just love connecting with like all the kids, and it's super fun to see them there too. And then something else I think we should definitely say, just talking on like how it's hard, we get it, but we all have kids, and so we all understand all of that. So like even to the PTO meetings, bring the kids, and then because then we all bring our kids, and then they all play, and they're kind of screaming, and we're like, just trying to talk, but also laughing at the kids and everything else. And it's kind of fun too, just to get connected with a different group of people that you maybe might not connect with,
Mhm. Yeah, especially if you're new to the community, it is a great way to meet people.
For sure.
I moved out here during COVID. I think it was 6 months before I even met my first neighbor. So it's one of those situations where you actually get to meet people at these different events. And it can be kind of hard to break into the Mahtomedi community, but getting involved is what I have found to be the best way to actually meet people and make friends out here. And I have really enjoyed everybody that I have had the pleasure of volunteering with. It's been a really great experience. And as president, I filled in a lot of different things that I would not have normally volunteered for. I'm doing card sharks tomorrow. Now that would not have been but it's fun every time. And it's not something I ever thought that I would enjoy, but those kids, they crack me up. So there's lots of different opportunities for involvement, but yes, we absolutely need help with behind the scenes stuff. And there's a lot of work that happens up until that event, and that all has to be done by somebody too. So the more people we can kind of share that load with, the more we can do. And and maybe it's you can't volunteer for the event, but if you can take this off my plate, I can volunteer for the event, and we can kind of all make it work together. So it's very much we're supporting each other and just trying to make it work for everybody. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, we will let you go for the evening, but we very much appreciate you being here tonight. Very much. We are going to be posting this. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and it will be on the homepage of our website, and we'll also post it on social. It'll go out in the e-news. Tell your friends to watch the video, because we've really struggled with awareness of what we're doing, and that is a huge part on us, because a lot of us, we came out of COVID and we lost a bunch of people, and we've been trying to fill in the gaps and clean up the back end so that it's all going to work more smoothly going forward. But there's been we had a lot of families age out, and there's a whole bunch of new families. And so we're going to be sending out a survey. I know you guys probably have survey fatigue. You get them for everything, but we want to know, would you attend meetings if they were during the day? What would you like to happen at meetings? Do you want a presentation at each meeting about something to do with the schools? We are very open to doing whatever works best for families, and not married to anything that we are currently doing. We're certainly open to other ideas, suggestions, and ways that we could do things better.
Kitty,
Go ahead.
Kenny, how hard would it be? I know this will be on the survey, and because when I used to go to PTO meetings, they were in the morning, and I've said that before, and the turnout was pretty big. How hard is it to go back to flipping AM, PM, AM, PM?
I think for next year we could do whatever. When we did the calendar for this year, we did what they had done the year before.
Yeah. Can you put that on the survey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think especially if we have enough, if we have lead time, then people can clear their schedules. So even if you do work, you could still attend a morning meeting. Yeah. But yes, we encourage everybody to check out our website, and I will drop that in the chat. There's also the link for spring filling volunteers if anybody can assist with that one. if you want more information on any level of volunteering, please email info@mahtomedipto.com. We are happy to answer questions, you know, or you can just say, hey, I'd be interested in doing this. And then we'll get back to you about, you know, how you could get involved at whatever level works for you, because we mean it when we say that everything is scalable. There's no reason why things can't be split between multiple people to make it a little bit easier for everybody. Okay. Any other questions?
I apologize for joining very, very late. So it gives you an idea of why I'm having trouble volunteering. So
Well, and Deborah will send you out the video. So
yeah,
you can see
okay.
what you missed.
Yeah. And I have, you know, I have gone on and inquired about, you know, volunteering times, and it hasn't worked out so well for me this year, but I really wanted to join this to see what I could do for next year. And I am a grandma or a Mimi or whatever. And I used to love to volunteer when my girls were younger. So I have to figure out a way to fit it in, but I'll try to find some time to help out before the end of the year. So
That would be awesome. We would love to have you. I'm
All right.
looking
I
forward.
might be limping around. I'm going to have some hip surgery in a few weeks, but you know, the recovery is pretty fast on that. So, but yeah, I can do what I can.
Excellent. Well, we would love to have you in any capacity that you can be there. So,
Okay.
wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today, and we will see you hopefully at an event or something in the future, whether as a volunteer or just an attendee. We like both. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to answer questions. We are, you know, we like talking to other parents. It's kind of why we got into this. So, but if you ever have any questions or concerns or any of that sort of thing, please do not hesitate to reach out. And thank you again for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.